Tuesday, November 21st. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we will take you to the Shellfish Volunteer event held last week to honor the 93 volunteers that help make the shellfish program here in the town run so smoothly. Then we'll meet Amanda Ruggiero. She's the Assistant Town Engineer in the DPW department. And finally, the Barnstable Senior Center holds a turkey trot every year to make sure seniors in the town don't go without on Thanksgiving Day. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. Mass DOT is continuing their roadway improvements at the intersection of Route 28 and Versus Way. The next phase started yesterday, November 20th, and will continue until December 1st. During this phase, the eastbound lane of Route 28 will be detoured south on Versus Way, down Walton Ave, and then back out onto Route 28. There will be no construction work over the Thanksgiving weekend. Traffic during construction will be delayed, and motorists are advised to seek an alternate route. The DPW will be installing a new four-way stop at Strawberry Hill Road at Old Craigville Road in Centerville. This work is scheduled for this week, and advanced warning signs will be installed, as well as temporary red flags and reflective strips on the signposts. These will alert drivers to the new stop signs where there were none before. Stop signs exist on Old Craigville Road. Those signs will be modified to alert drivers of the all-way stop. The Town of Barnstable Public Health Division will hold a flu clinic at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center on Thursday, December 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. The clinic is open to town residents only, and the fee is $3. For more information, you can call the Health Division at 508-862-4644. A reminder that town offices will be closed Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. The transfer station will be open regular hours Friday, November 24th. Up next, we will take you inside this year's Marine and Environmental Affairs Division Shellfish Volunteer Appreciation Party.
So this year we did tons of different projects, mostly planting quahogs. So we planted about 1.6 million quahogs this year, little baby ones the size of Skittles, under over 70 nets, which is quite a project. Lots of digging up quahogs and moving them to different locations. So all those quahogs that you guys are getting out at the landings, you can thank these volunteers behind you. And they've just been crucial to our program. We could not do this without them. So this is our volunteer appreciation party, a very special one where we're honoring Doug Cowlett, our shellfish constable, as well. And we do this just to give thanks to all of our volunteers that have worked so hard. They've come out and they've really offered their time, which is invaluable. When we do clamming class for kids, they really came together and we paired them up with kids and with adults to learn how to shellfish, and we cannot do these programs without them, is what I'm trying to say. It's been amazing. So this is the least that we can do for them, is to give them some food, get everyone together, not in waiters, which is amazing, and just give thanks to them. So that's what this day is all about, is just mingling, being happy, chit-chatting, and thanking the volunteers for all their hard work.
Now, first of all, it is Volunteer Appreciation Day, and we really do appreciate everything you folks do for us. I tell everyone, and I spread the word, I really think we do have the #1 shellfish program in the state. And we do it because of you folks. We do it because of you folks. We do it because of the staff that I have. I'm extremely lucky to have a dedicated staff. They love what they do. And we also, as Liz just mentioned, we took this as an opportunity today to also recognize Doug Cowlett. Doug, we're all here, quite honestly, because of the things that he has done over the years. I went through and I asked HR to do some digging in, find out when Doug actually started with the town, and it took a long digging. They had to go up in the attic. The files went so far back. But Doug started out as a seasonal out at Sandy Neck, sometime I believe in the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken. 73. There we go. His mind's sharp. And the full-time position, his first full-time position, was his deputy conservation officer, and that is back in February of 1973. So he's gone through different changes in the way the departments have been set up and everything. His position has changed from shellfish warden, shellfish constable, natural resource officer, senior natural resource officer, and to what he is today is the natural resource division supervisor. So you think about it, that's a little over 44 years of service to this town that Doug has given. I've worked with Doug for 32 of those years, and I know we could swap some stories about some folks we have worked with in the past and some of the characters we met along the way. But it's all been great. It's been a heck of a ride, and I hope Doug feels the same way. Certainly a lot of fun. Staff we've seen, we got, as I mentioned before, second to none right now. And as I said, this is an opportunity for us just to recognize Doug. I did ask staff this morning, I asked them to come up and tell me, to let me know in one word, describe Doug. And I just want to read a few of the responses. So. No, these are good. I censored some of it, but But stalwart, supportive, inspiring, heroic, proud, dynamic, strong, relaxed, formidable, longevity, dedicated, warm-hearted, and I think the best one said it all, Superman. So again, just thank you all, but quite honestly, most importantly, Doug, thank you for the services of the town, for your friendship, and all you have done. It's just been a tremendous, just been tremendous for me and for I know the staff. We're truly grateful.
Let's see, that total 391 hours of volunteering for shellfish and a lot more for herring as well. We put down 76 nets and totaling 1,674,760 quahogs. We counted them all. All right. And we had lots of different groups this year too. We had AmeriCorps, we had bars, of course, the New England Aquarium, and Donna's here to represent them. We had teens also from the New England Aquarium, which is pretty awesome. Residents and several non-residents as well, which is always fun when they come over to our town to help out. Okay, I think the highlight of this year, probably all of the shellfish classes that we did. And that's where all of you guys really pulled together. Those are so tricky to do, and they take all hands on deck. So really amazing. Give yourselves a pat on the back for that. All right. So we had razor clam classes, we had kids clamming classes, and adult clamming classes. And this is what's amazing. On a Wednesday, we had over 80 people show up to just one of those classes. And we had about 20 volunteers. So over the course of all these classes, we have seen a ton of people. And I just wanted to recognize a few of you that were really key. I like to do little awards on the side. So this year, we have 4 awards to give out. The first one is to Jack Quinn. If you'd come on up here. Come on up, Jack. Come on up. Jack, here's your award. The Golden Quahog Award. Thank you very much. There we go, Jack. So, Jack helped with the razor clam classes over the winter, right?
That's correct.
Pivotal. He got his salt solution out, very important salt solution, got the shovel, was stirring it at the truck, absolutely wonderful. He also got in the newspaper for this and puts a pound of butter in his razor clam. It was a misprint.
Wrong.
It was a misprint. Thank you, Jack, for all your help with the razor. Danielle helps with the kids clamming class and adult clamming classes every year. But not only that, when Danielle goes out shellfishing, they know that she knows what she's doing. So you have these people that are wandering around lost. They don't know what they're doing. Danielle finds them. They find Danielle, really, and she takes them out on her own time. So that's so applaudable. Thank you. Team, okay?
My knees.
These two, we have used them. It appears they're the only two in town. The only two in town that actually know how to dig steamers.
I don't think so.
And they had to teach everyone else. So everyone that came on down, including some of our volunteers, we found them and we paired them up. So thank you guys so much. We'll get you some knee pads for next year. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys.
Coming up, we learn about the Barnstable Senior Center's annual Turkey Trot, but first, let's meet Assistant Town Engineer Amanda Ruggiero. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the comprehensive field study, because that's a project that you have been working on since that started a couple months ago, right?
Almost approaching a year at
Oh,
this
wow,
point,
okay, cool.
because we first have to go out to hire a consultant. So I think we received about 10 applications for RFPs, which are requests for proposals, and then we interviewed those, and then we would hire on. So I think earlier this year, we hired a consultant on board to start our comprehensive field study, which we broke into 3 phases. The first one's the needs assessment, where the consultant is currently working on. The second one is the evaluation of our fields, and then the final one is the strategic plan, which talks about the delta between the 2 plans, and in order to get a strategic plan for planning capitally for the future.
Okay, and I know you guys had, over the summer, you had a couple of meetings for people to come out and talk about it, and you did the survey. So what would you say you found out from doing those things?
So the survey, we had about over 200 respondents for that, so that was pretty equivalent to when they put out the open space plan survey. So we got a little bit less than that results, but it was pretty thorough, hit many different facets, between people that were walkers to people that used soccer fields, lacrosse fields. Basketball became pretty prevalent, that it was lacking, and also pickleball. And so that was really great. We had the public meeting, and it was a really rainy day. We weren't expecting many people to turn out, and we ended up almost a room full of 50 people.
Wow.
Yeah, with bringing up different gamuts between tennis to pickleball to handball, kind of realizing that Hyannis is more urban compared to the outer villages, and how we might approach those.
Wow, cool. So moving into this next phase, what's that going to entail? The second phase of the project?
The second phase actually has already been mostly complete.
Oh, okay.
Because the consultant hired a sub-consultant, Tom Irwin, who went through and actually did the existing fields, and did soil density tests and looked at access to these fields. So they needed to do that when the fields were being used. So the best time would be this past summer, when they were actually being used for softball and baseball and soccer. So they were able to get that complete. So right now they're still wrapping up the needs assessment, because there was a lot of public outreach to the different stakeholders for every single type of sport you could imagine.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot out there.
Yes. So getting that proper feedback and tying it all together. Actually, the report itself for the evaluation hasn't been complete, because we need to finish the first phase. But however, the background and the going out there and testing every field has been complete. And in general, there's about over 20 different properties between the rec and the schools that were evaluated, and ends up being a yield of almost 50 fields total.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
What are we thinking is going to be the how long until we get to the final stage of the plan?
So they've been working on all 3 of them concurrently.
Oh, okay.
And so ultimately, in the next few months, the whole plan should be written. So we're still going to phase it so that the town provides feedback to the consultant, so we get a plan that's really what the town wants, and not something that just a consultant wrote and recommended to us, but something that's true to us. And we have an evaluation committee instead of just one project manager managing a project. We've got a whole committee that we have Lindsay Council, Lynn Poyant, and John Gleason. So without them, this project wouldn't be successful.
Wonderful.
Because we need all that input from everybody.
It's nice to see that you're taking a very comprehensive look to the fields here in the town of Barnstable. I know the residents and the users we definitely appreciate that because, and they're being heard, which is great. So we also want to talk about something that you've been working on since you started here. You said you've been here for about 2 years, wastewater planning, which is a very big project.
Yes. So my background before I came here was consulting and primarily did water and wastewater work.
Okay.
So that when I knew I wanted to make the transition back to the municipal side after having a couple internships for municipalities, that was one of my strong suits for coming to the town. So we were able to, save the town, hundreds of $1,000s by doing a lot in-house because we have a lot of professional engineers right on staff.
Yeah.
So we were able to work with our GIS department and, be able to put together all these equations and make things populate so that, then translate to, visual maps. And, it did automatic calculations for us rather than, trying to estimate. So it made all the results a lot more accurate. So when it came to, dealing with the needs, whether it be because of nitrogen in the estuaries or because, depth to groundwater is too shallow and you might need a variance for a Title V system, it made those ideas more pronounced, and that we could visually have a map and it highlighted those areas.
Interesting. I know that's a big issue here in the town. Is the wastewater, and planning for the future. Is there anything in particular that moving forward that we could be looking forward to, or we should be looking out for?
Well, so we put together a whole plan, and that was put together by the Wastewater Resource Advisory Committee and approved by town council. So that plan looked at the needs as a whole in over 60 years. So now our plan is for our CIPs that are upcoming is to deal with the stuff that's like more low-hanging fruit that's close to where we're located. So our plan this fall is to put together some CIPs that would address those needs that are out there.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
My guest today is Amanda Ruggiero. She's the assistant town engineer here in the town of Barnstable.
"125 Barnstable seniors do not have to go without Thanksgiving dinner. That's all thanks to Barnstable Senior Center staff and volunteers who run the annual turkey trot. Through the event, each participant receives a full Thanksgiving dinner, including turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy, all the fixings, and even flowers to brighten their day."
After year of doing this event, the feedback that we get back from the recipients of the meal is really just so gratifying to the staff and I. We get so many thank you cards back from the seniors that received the meal, and for them to express to us that they felt like they weren't forgotten over the holidays, because these seniors are people that live alone for the most part and don't have any family close by to celebrate the holidays with. So I think the most meaningful part of the gesture is not just it's not the meal itself, it's the sentiment that goes along with it, that they were thought about over the holidays when we all tend to be so busy with our own families and preparing for Thanksgiving. And just the fact that they get that knock on the door and this delivery, by a volunteer of such a delicious home-cooked meal, but all of the other things that accompany the meal. And I just think that it's the visit and the fact that somebody was thinking about them is what means the most out of everything, as well as the food. I mean, it is a delicious meal that's made with a lot of love and kindness and caring by our staff and volunteers, and it's really so meaningful to us that we're able to cheer up so many of our seniors and make their Thanksgiving holiday. So we could not do this on our own. I mean, clearly the will is there for us because we know these seniors and we know that they're alone for the holidays, and the whole program started because of our outreach coordinators Claudia Borden and Judy Red identifying that there were a lot of seniors that weren't fortunate enough to have somebody to spend the holidays with. But it's a labor of love, and a lot more work goes into it than people realize, and I think that's kind of the beauty of when we've done this over and over again. We make it look easy. I like to think that it's the many hands make light work approach, because the volunteers, the staff, the community partners that have provided financial funds, and also the donations of food, flowers, the intergenerational piece of it, where we've had younger students that have made things to accompany the meal, I think just brings it all together, where this really is a completely community-led effort, and it's so heartwarming. I think that one of the best things that we look at is it's become part of our tradition. I mean, I know we're here every day working, but the fact that we get to do this, for our job is just so gratifying.
We've been doing it now for 14 years. It's funny, Judy Red, who also helps with the initial development of this, we used to share an office upstairs here in the senior center before the whole downstairs was even built. We shared an office, and we were saying, well, we should do something for the holidays. And we sort of decided, let's not touch Christmas. Let's do something for Thanksgiving. So we started it 14 years ago, and through a lot of help from a lot of people. And we started with, I think we did 75 people, and then it was so popular we sort of bumped it to 100, and then finally Judy said, no more. I said, well, just a few more. We ended up at 125, but we've had to keep it at 125 people just because it's exhausting, you know, but it's fun. We start the very first process in July. That's when I make copies of the pictures and I set them out in the lobby, and I say, while you're sitting there, please color these pictures for us. So we have this whole big coloring group that comes in, and they do 5, 6, 7 pictures. So we need 125 of them. By the end of October, they're pretty sick of coloring turkeys and things like that, but that's okay. They do it for me, and that's awesome. And then we start calling people. We start with the people who got the program last year to see how they're doing, if they're still going to be alone, would they like the meal. I've yet to see anybody say no. And then then I know how many blanks we have, how many spaces we can fill. And then we start talking to people, you know, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I see a lot of people that are isolated through our other program, the brown bag. So a lot of those people are, when they come in to pick up their October bag, I'll say, what you doing for Thanksgiving? I try and do it just as a general conversation. But if they say to me, well, I'm not doing anything, I'm going to be all alone, a light goes off in my head, and I'll say, okay, we're going to bring you food. Let us at least provide something that's going to make your holiday a little special. We have children's pictures. You can see there's little turkeys that they made for us. We have flowers. Yesterday, I had a whole, I think it was 10, 15 women and men, actually a couple men there too. We were making flower arrangements. So everybody's going to get a beautiful flower arrangement, a lovely drawing, a little bit of candy, a little bit of homemade pumpkin bread, and a huge, gorgeous meal, and a loaf of bread. They probably, on every stage, I'm going to say at least 50. We have 25 people that are just delivering these foods to these people's homes. You know, they're driving all over the town of Barnstable. I have 25 people for that. As you can see, we've got about 10, 12 people here. Then there's all the colorers, and then there's, you know, all the other things that people do on the side. The flower people, I had another 20, so maybe 50 is low. Maybe it was a little more than that. What you'll notice on our list of people who donate is almost all of them are Barnstable companies. I mean, we also have our Friends Board, Barnstable Friends. We also have the Lombard Fund. That's a Barnstable program. The Needy Fund, their office is in Cape Hyannis, but they really do the whole Cape. But the Needy Fund, they give us financial support. And then the businesses that are here, they give us the product. You know, it's great. Cumberland Farms has given us a loaf of bread for 14 years. They've been one of our very original only because I used to work for Cumberland Farms years ago. I knew somebody, and I said, would you consider doing this? I think they started off giving us dinner rolls, and then when they stopped making dinner rolls, they said, would you take a loaf of bread? I said, absolutely. Turkey sandwiches the next day, you know, there's nothing better. Coca-Cola donates apple juice, which is, it's great. You know, it's just a little bit sweet. It's as close as we could get to cider without having to worry about people who had cider issues. Most of my people who deliver are repeaters. This is like the best job in the world. You know, you get to bring this really fun bag of really good food to people who expect nothing, you know? So they love it. It's a really wonderful, if you're going to volunteer for anything, that's the best thing to volunteer for. And then I get letters from the seniors, and of course we give them all this wonderful food, and I always get letters about, love the food, great food, but the children's drawings, I still have them up on my wall.
The Barnstable Senior Center would like to thank this year's generous sponsors for their support of the Turkey Trot. The Friends of the Barnstable Council on Aging, Cumberland Farms, Cape Cod Times Needy Fund, Centerville Pie Company, Guaranteed Fresh Produce, Hyannis Food Service, Coca-Cola of Cape Cod, the Girl Scouts, Barnstable County 4-H Club, and the Academy of Early Learning.
Now let's take a look at this week's community calendar. The annual Meeting House Farm Pie Sale is this week. This is your chance to get some wonderful homemade pies for your Thanksgiving dinner. The Pie and Bake Sale will take place on Wednesday, November 22nd from 9 to 11 a.m. at the West Barnstable Community Building. It is suggested you arrive early as they usually sell out fast. Annie begins its run at the Cotuit Center for the Arts starting today. The timeless story and the classic characters come to life in this beloved family-friendly musical. Join Annie on her spirited journey from a next-to-nothing start at an orphanage run by the wickedly funny Miss Hannigan to finding her ideal family with big-hearted billionaire Daddy Warbucks. The show runs through December 17th. For tickets and more information, please visit www.cotuitcenterforthearts.org. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new show. On tomorrow's show, we'll get an update from Police Chief Paul McDonald. We'll chat with Barnstable Municipal Airport Manager Bud Brielt. And finally, we'll talk tax classification with Finance Director Mark Milne. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.